Okay, we will call to order the special board meeting of the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners for Tuesday, March 4th, 2014. Good morning, everyone. My name is Langdon Neal. I'm the chairman of the board. Seated to my left is Commissioner Marisol Hernandez. Sorry to say that Commissioner Cowan is still ill, though recovering. We hope he'll be able to join us at the next meeting. First item on the agenda is the consideration of the agenda. Any additions, deletions? Hearing none, we'll move right to, we'll skip over the approval of the minutes. We'll have those for the next meeting and go to the executive director's report. Ms. Bateman.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Mr. Goff is at our warehouse today, so that's why he's not able to be here. Everything is going very well. Voter registration, all registrations were in. We are printing applications for ballot, even though we are using our e-poll books, but we are printing applications for ballot just for a backup. Election judges, the vacancies today, 827 for Dems, 1132 for Republicans. Training is going very well for the judges. The full credit, which is the 3-hour, even with the implementation of the e-poll book, the training is going very well. Even with the cold weather and the bad weather, the turnout has been good. We're in the middle of it right now, so we have 2 more weeks to go. Absentee is doing very well. We had our first day of early voting yesterday, and again, snowy in the morning. We had 1,600 come out to early vote, so that was very good. As far as our UACAVA.
How many did we do downstairs? Do you know, Hillary?
As far as the sites go, do you have it, Bill? 174.
Okay, thank you.
So, thank you, Bill. Yeah, so absentees going well. UACAVA, we have 605 voters, so those are our overseas military voters. Polling places is going well. Our warehouse, again, they did a phenomenal job with pre-lat. The first ESCs left yesterday, so the next 2 weeks, the ESCs will be leaving the warehouse, delivered to the polling places, and everything's going well.
Excellent. Excellent. Any questions for Ms. Bateman?
No.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Mr. Allen. Anything for you today?
The mass mailing should start hitting mailboxes Friday, Saturday. That's the household mailing that gives indications of early voting sites near that person's home, as well as their election day polling place, and then general information about absentee voting. So, e-poll book introductory video. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Kelly, for contributing to that project. They're going through the editing process. We've lined up the graphics now, so that should be coming together very soon. As the Chairman will attest, yesterday was the beginning early voting. We did not plan any kind of big rollout. However, at the request of some news media organizations, we decided to make an availability, and we're pleasantly pleased that all of the major media outlets came with less than an hour's notice. And so there's plenty of awareness out there that early voting has begun. Whether the voters are ready and have their minds made up is another question. And so yesterday wasn't as bad as the worst start of early voting, which actually was November 2010, but that was also a holiday. Like yesterday was Pulaski Day, that was Columbus Day. So we had like 800 voters that day, I believe. It wasn't as good as the opening day of the primary 4 years ago. So jury's still out on this.
Yes.
Jim, we have 2 weeks basically of early voting. Is there any plan next week of contacting the media and reminding them there's only 1 week left, and see if they could pick that up?
By law, we have to place a certain number of legal notices, and we do that in English, Spanish, Chinese, Hindi, and Polish. newspapers, as well as we get regularly calls from the news media because they're trying to calculate to a certain degree what to expect, whether this is a low turnout contest or a high turnout election. So they'll want to do this. Historically, they have requested, and we've given out updates on a virtually daily basis to keep them apprised and let them know, and they often want to know where we stand compared to 4 years ago.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Allen?
No, that's it.
Okay. We'll move on to old business. Kelly, anything you want to say about the poll books other than we're rolling,
We
ready?
are on schedule.
Mhm.
We have our weekly meeting still with the SNS. Everything is going out, is going.
Okay. Judd, anything you want to say about that?
No, it seems like it's going very well, and things are on schedule, so. very
Okay.
happy with that.
I move to voting equipment. Anything you want to, Paige? Anything you want to tell us today?
Nothing really, pre-lap went very well, we
Mhm.
did it a day early, gearing up for election day.
Great.
And we did get the zero file from Dominion, probably the earliest ever,
Oh,
so that's in
okay.
good shape. Thank you.
We're finally listening to you, Paige, in
Thank
corporate, huh?
you. Right.
Okay. Legislation, Mr. Scanlon, anything that we need to talk about?
Nothing to report today, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'll move to item 6, which is a new business, agendas, rules, notices, and procedures to be used during the canvass of the March 18th, 2014 general primary election. Mr. Scanlon.
Mr. Chairman, you have before you a set of agendas, rules, notices, and procedures to be used by the board during the canvass of the March 18th primary election. It includes all of the procedures that will be used by the board in completing its canvass duties. We will be, once approved by the board, we'll be sending out copies of these documents to the chairman of the two established political parties, the Attorney General, the State's Attorney, the U.S. Attorney, and all organizations that have filed for poll watching credentials. We'll also make copies of these available at the front desk, and it will be posted up in the office. So we're ready to move forward with preparations for the canvass, and I would just ask the board's approval for these documents and for the posting and release of those documents.
I move for approval of the agendas, rules, notices, and procedures to be used during the canvass of the March 18, 2014 general primary election.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. Jim, are there any changes to these from previous elections that we need to be aware of?
Well, we have changes that, with regard to provisional ballots
Mm-hmm.
that have been brought about by the law
Yes.
that requires us to count, or at least partially count ballots, provisional ballots that are cast in the wrong precinct.
Correct.
So that has been incorporated in here.
Okay.
We have a change in there with regard to dealing with absentee ballots that, where applications have been made online for absentee ballots, as provided by legislation, new legislation. The bulk of it is pretty much the same as what we've done in the past.
All right, moved by Commissioner Hernandez. A second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all's in favor?
Aye.
That'll be the order. Anything else from your legal status report, Mr. Scanlon?
No, nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We have no financial report today. We'll then open it up for discussion, public comment. Sharon, anything for us today?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a couple of items.
All right.
How are you today?
Fine, thank you. How are you today?
Fine, it's great to see you. I'm going to start, if I may, with an idea that I have for the early voting judges, or not for the early voting judges, election day judges.
Okay.
we're moving into an election. I think we're, 14 days away from it. And this board is short 2,000 judges, of which, as Kelly said, 875 are Democrats and 1,100 are Republicans. So the process, as I understand it, for filling these last-minute positions, that's about 20% of the total force, I believe. You have about 10,000 judges, isn't that right?
No, we have more than that.
We have about 15,000
50,
judges.
so it's not quite 10%, that's great.
Mhm.
So, but it's still, or I'm sorry, it's more than 10%. 2,000 vacancies is really pretty significant.
No.
No?
We've had much more severe, but we'll address that.
Well,
When I first came here, we were at 50% vacancy by this time.
Right. Well, and-
Kelly, you want to say anything on that?
Yes, I do. Thank you. The numbers reflect vacancies. A lot of the precincts have been, the boards have been expanded for either language assistants or the student judges. So it may not necessarily be a clear vacancy. A lot of the precincts have 5 judges in them. Some may have opened up till 9, but have 7 judges. So it's
So if
it's
we,
not always a
yeah,
absolute,
right.
This
you know,
is
less
an
than
average of
5.
less than 1 per precinct.
Yeah.
So if you have 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7, you have a very well-staffed polling place. So this has been a suggestion, a recurring theme in the public comment section, that we have this drastic number when history is a guide. That's not necessarily the case.
And we still have 14 days. We still have, 14 days.
But we're still working on our part
Right.
as well, and this is not necessarily as criticism. I am looking at a way to hire the judges that we need very quickly for November on a limited budget. And we have a fantastic opportunity right now because we're moving into primary elections, and you could easily post in every polling place and know right on the judge's door. And so I made up an example for you.
I think we addressed that issue,
No, this is
Ms.
very different,
Moran.
yeah.
Okay, well, hold on a second.
No,
I think-
we've addressed this in full.
Exactly. And can you reiterate, you know, the issues in terms of posting? Because we rent that space for one day.
Right.
We don't have the capacity to go in and post in a building where we don't have any interest in that building, other than that one day.
The idea is, if I understand it, is to post a help wanted sign on every polling place.
That wasn't
Like-
the idea that I'm here to present today, but since I was interrupted, I'll let you finish.
Well, Sharon, why don't you finish what you were?
Thank you very much, appreciate that. I did get a response that you would rent the polling places for a number of days and you can't post it, you know, in advance of this March election. I'm speaking about what can we do on election day. And you do have room on your tables, or you have tables, and one of the fastest way to let the people who are coming to vote, who are both Democrats and Republicans, know that you're going to be hiring 20,000 or 15,000 election judges between now and November would be to just have a little notice right on the table. So I wrote one up and I took it directly from your website so that the issue would not be content. Oh, may I? No. Thank you, sorry. Protocols here, and it embarrasses
We
me.
don't stand on protocol.
There you go, Commissioner. And I'm sure legal is gonna have input into that as well. So, you know, and I know that you're getting new election judge applications. This could easily be printed up and you could send them out in your morning mail that you have on election day that say, you know, put this out, let people pick up a flyer if they wanna know about it, so that you're getting the word out to everybody, and it's almost zero cost. So I know I'm throwing something at you at the last minute, but we're trying to think creatively for the huge responsibility that's coming up in April, which is to staff these judges again, and not to, you know, even though I recognize that you're saying that there's all sorts of reasons why there's so many vacancies, when I look at and drill down into the vacancy report, there's a lot of unprotected precincts, and the best way to get them protected is to assure that we do it according to the way the legislature has, you know, suggested and mandated, frankly. So I'm thinking as a staffing person, how do we access these people with the least amount of cost? And this was one idea that I wanted to present to you to consider.
We'll study this.
We don't have a lot of time. I know,
Well,
I'm thinking at the
when I
last
say
minute.
study, I don't mean we have to spend, I mean, we'll consider it.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate that. That's very nice.
Mhm.
The second thing I was concerned about is I wanted to make sure that the nursing home judges, you know, we've had some issues in the past with making sure that the assignments are appropriate, and so I want to be, the Republican Party wants to be involved with, you know, looking at those judges before they're finalized, especially because I think that the law requires they're supposed to come from the precincts, but sometimes that's not possible to happen for a variety of reasons. And
Well, if you, I could just stop you there. When are the judges' assignments for the nursing homes finalized?
Well, they're being made now, and I do believe that Patty has input into assigning, helping assign the Republican judges, so, but they are being made right now.
Okay, so what role does Patty have specifically?
I think she assists the nursing home department in assignments of Republican nursing home judges.
Okay.
Michelle,
And
she's
she-
here, sorry.
Yeah,
I
she was here.
did, sorry, it's okay. Is that
And-
true?
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yes, I'm
And
so
who do
sorry.
you have contact with
Sorry, Debbie.
within the party?
What I do is I'm calling first the precinct that they actually live in the nursing home. And if that judge is not available to do it, then we take the one that is closest to that nursing home site, and I call them up. And the response has been very good as far as getting Republican judges into those slots.
And how much are we completed?
Well, the girls from that department are bringing them to me as we go along, so I've got 2 boards that I'm working on today, right now. And then when I bring those back, they'll give me what else is open. So it's
So we
looking
will,
good.
I don't know, when do we publish that list to the public, or? Kelly? Yeah,
Public?
I mean, I don't mean publish it, I mean, it's available. We- Yeah, when are we doing the nursing home voting?
The weekend before.
That's the
election.
weekend before?
Mhm.
Okay, so we still got a
It's the
couple.
weekend before
Mostly
Saturday,
Saturday.
yeah.
Saturday before, okay, well, cool.
So we're moving forward on
Yes,
that.
we are.
Great
Mhm.
news. I was wondering, is it possible for the board, you know, when I go to like meetings at the Illinois State Board or Cook County, they have the agenda and also the items that you're reviewing in, you know, available in PDF online or something. And I've tried to get, well, the actual issue that came up was in our last meeting, General Counsel Scanlon had made some recommendations about pending legislation to the board, and I had asked to see that because we're, of course, very interested in that. And I was denied access to it based on the fact that you guys were claiming it was proprietary information. But generally, when I go to these other board meetings and the general counsel is making recommendations to the board, that's public information. So I was really shocked by that response on the one hand, and on the other hand, my real objective is to be able to have the things that you guys discussed, like the item you moved on today, available so that we could read it, you know, without the 5-day delay of after the meeting getting it.
Jim, do you want to address me on that?
Mr.
Well-
Scanlon, are these items already on the web?
With regard to the legislation, I think Ms. Maroney's referring to the memorandum that I provide to the commissioners.
Is that correct? Is it the memoranda or is what?
It's both. The issue came up because I wanted to see, you know, I'm interested in what your opinions are about legislation.
Because legislation is publicly available.
It's the opinion of
everywhere.
the board that I was looking for, Mr. General Counsel Scanlon.
Well, it was my opinion.
Legislation is available on the State of Illinois website, right. So what you're talking about is the memo?
Yes, yes.
Well,
And those are covered by attorney-client
Yeah.
privilege, attorney-client communications. So, you know, I'm certainly not at liberty to release that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Mr. Scanlon's work product, in which he advises the board about strategy. We don't vote on, we didn't vote, if we vote on it to endorse a particular piece of legislation or advance a piece of legislation, that certainly is a public document. But the work product of our attorney, in terms of the analysis, recommendation, and strategy, is privileged.
That would be something that you would then have in your executive session type of, is it privilege like that? Because otherwise I don't understand the privilege on it.
Yeah, we would, if we discuss, generally, if we discuss legislation, it's an open session. But if Mr. Scanlon writes us a memorandum that contains his legal analysis, you know, we can make a determination on each individual case whether or not we want to exercise our privilege, but generally, and it doesn't matter which board you're talking about, state board, whatever board, generally, the work product of the board's attorney, where they do analysis and recommendation and strategy for the board, is privileged communication. And that's under the Freedom of Information Act, as well as the Illinois Civil Practice Act.
I see. Okay, well, I'm very interested in what the board, you know, learns about the legislation because it impacts so many people, so.
We generally just are pretty open in our discussion about that, and if we're gonna take a vote on recommending something, that's gonna be very transparent to anyone here. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And then, Christian, the other issue that I was trying to distinguish between was also the, you know, what you have on your agenda items. You have the agenda item, and then you've got the actual packet. And I didn't know if there's any reason that that packet isn't publicly available.
Well, it is, some of the underlying documents are publicly available once they come before the board, and we review them and we approve them, and then they become available.
Yes, so today, we have the agenda, which is publicly available, and then we have the rules we just approved, which are publicly available.
Right.
And that's the extent of our,
Right, I'll pick it up on my way out.
You can have a copy of this one, but I think we're going to have to make some new copies. This is a
blurred.
blurred.
Okay.
You're welcome to have this one, but we're going to be making clearer copies shortly after this board meeting.
We have our early voting handbook, which is certainly publicly available. And we have our report of who's voted, and not who's voted, but how many have voted. That's publicly available for sure. As most of our entire board package, I can't, you know, it'd be really rare circumstances that the entire board package would not be available, maybe not posted on the website, but available for copying or inspection. I mean, the only part that wouldn't be would be anything in the executive session portion of the booklet, which may or may not be. We have to make that determination. But anything else is pretty much publicly available. Now, it may not be posted, but because I mean, we try to be judicious in what we actually post on the website. So, did I say that pretty correctly, Jim? Did I make any error there? You weren't listening.
If you did, I didn't catch it.
Okay.
Because Mr. Allen was.
Ms. Bateman, do you want to correct me?
I think you are correct. So, just what's in the book that we
Yeah.
normally receive? Well,
Basically what I said, Jim, is that pretty much the entire board book is publicly available. We may not post the entire content on our website, but it's pretty much all public information. The only thing I could think of would be any documents under the executive session tab, which we'd have to individually make a decision on whether or not that's privileged or not.
And anything really, there's certain exceptions, again, under, that allow us to maintain documents as privileged and confidential under the Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information
yeah.
Act.
But I believe we posted the canvas documents in question last week.
Well, everything
They're
we
on the
did,
web.
I know
Those are
everything we
already-
did today is posted on.
Those are already on the
Yeah.
web.
Okay.
So they're under 4 candidates, and they're also under petition filing and
Yeah.
objection information.
Yeah, that's what Mr. Allen's done.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. Okay, anything else? No one else wants to say anything? Sandy, you want to wrap it up? Okay. All righty. If there's nothing further to come before the board, I'll accept a motion to recess till our next regular scheduled meeting, which would be, what, next Tuesday?
Yes, March
Next
11th.
Tuesday, March 11th at 10.
So moved?
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
That'll be the order. Thank you.